everyone. This is Tina Queen.
Blog Talk
and
Radio.
This is the one you start.
Hello.
Go ahead.
Hello, everyone. This is Tina Queen. How y'all doing this evening? On live with Mike Crutchfield. How you doing, Mike? On live.
I'm blessed, sister. Peace and blessings to everyone out there.
Cool. You may need to turn down your thing, Mike.
That's what I'm
echo.
doing now. Okay. I apologize.
Okay. No problem. Tonight on Oracle Late Night, we're going to be discussing one of my visions. Tonight is going to be the vision that I had, as a matter of fact, this morning. And I'm going to read y'all what the vision was all about before we start the show. All right, the vision I had, and of course y'all do know that I am a very high-powered oracle, and Mike Crutchfield is a very high-powered priest and seer. And so we're going to be starting off with the vision that I had this morning. Okay, I'm going to be reading it. I was standing in front of a cathedral in another dimension that was painted, and the cathedral was painted in antique white. There were six 6-by-6 white blocks leading up to the front doors, and the blocks were surrounded by green turf-looking grass. Walking into the cathedral were black males that were dressed as females wearing blonde wigs of every kind. All the black males was dressed like the First Lady in skirts, blouses, heels, fake eyelashes, and jewelry. Expensive. They walked past me close enough to bump me, but didn't see me. At that moment, I decided I had to get into that cathedral to see what was drawing all those black males there. As I walked towards the door, I saw a raised-up symbol. But the closer I got, the more my left hip began to hurt. As the pain got worse, I backed away from the door. On the third try, my hip was dislocated, but I made it through the doors, and I made it to the doors through the pain. I knew that once I entered, I may not be able to get back out, but I had to get in there to see what was happening. When I walked in, there were millions of black males inside, all dressed like females in a lounge-type setting. There was food and soft music playing and a blue hue to the room. No one saw me. When I turned around to leave, I noticed the door was about 10 to 11 feet away, and a red field was there, about 10 to 11 inches thick. About 10 to 11 feet thick. When I hit the field, a red light splashed, and I couldn't break through it. I summoned all my strength and forced my way through. While in the field, forcing my way through, time slowed down to the point where it seemed like eternity to get through to the door. I fought and fought until I got to the front door, and once I opened it, I woke up, my hip feeling as if it were dislocated. This was my vision that I had this morning, and I thought it was very important and important enough to share this vision. Now, when I posted this, I also put up about Old Mother Hubbard. And it's the reason why I put Mother Hubbard up, because she was the one that gave me this vision. I have the ability to channel different entities, different spirits, different ancestors, and even supreme beings. So, Mike, why don't you go into telling everybody who Old Mother Hubbard really is instead of everyone just thinking about the nursery rhyme?
Yes, we all are familiar with these symbolisms of these nursery rhymes we were taught as little children, but in actuality, I'm going to give you the histories of ancient Earth, or as it was called then, Eridu, or the whole planet, which was called Gaia. Through different periods of the Earth, which was a lot larger than it is now, each time it was built up and destroyed, it took on a different name. This was the time of Gaia, or right before Gaia was to come about. Mother Hubbard was the ruler of the whole planet. She ruled. Basically, the whole entire what was called as later on known Pangea, before the continental drifts and the separation of the continents.
So what color, what race do you think Mother Hubbard was?
I don't think anything. I know she was she was of the darker melanin. You can't. The races now wouldn't describe her because during the mix-up, but she was the same thing as you would say the original dark Anunnaki were, or the original beings, inhabitants of the planets, or the oldest of the planet. I'm not talking about the alien beings coming here. I'm talking about the beings who were here with the original creation. It's been a lot of recreations and reconstructions of the planet. Mother Hubbard was a name that stuck out. See, you got to understand. Our planets, our continents, our galaxies are named after beings who were so great that they left a name, like Jupiter, like Mars, like Uranus, like Earth itself. Gaia. That's where you get geology and geography and all that from. See, they were beings who left their name. Mother Hubbard's name was so great that it left a mark in history. And she ruled under peace, love, justice, and equality. I mean, she had the whole planet. Before the turning of the last, what was called the moon cycle, it was the rulership of the matriarch. She was actually the last matriarch to rule the whole planet. And she ruled it until the casting of the demons to this planet from the higher realms. We know this story as the 200 fallen angels, which were really the Hindu demons, where you get Krishna, Vishnu, and all these other ones from. Now, they waged a terrible war. And you can find this in the stories about Shiva and the old Brahmic stories. The Atrahasis, for those who are familiar with the ancient books, you had a lot of Hindu mythological wars. And it was called the wars in the old Vedic texts. And they say how Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, and Shakti came, and they were the forms of avatars. And what they did was they were here to take over the planet since they were banished from the higher realm. Now, I tell people, the beings that banished them from the higher realm took from them their connection with the godly realm, which was the penal. So that's why now the remnants of them have that red dot on their foreheads. A lot of people don't understand why they do this. They do this as a symbolism because they still have not earned it. Those who did earn it left them, came to America and became the indigenous Americans, and they could take off the red dot because they got their spirituality back, joining that natural family of the positive or the balanced order. So Mother Hubbard was trying to keep these demons from coming here because every planet they went to, they wreaked havoc. And they were ugly beings. These were the centaurs, the half a horse and half man, or the griffins, and all the stories that you got from that, because they were called actually the ugly beings. The other Sanskrit epics you can go to is what's called the Ramana. And I'm just giving you these books so that the people can look it up if they ever want to see what was going on. Now, this Mother Hubbard also is in the story of the Mahabharata. See, they had all these ugly beings were of different races from different places that were going from planet to planet causing havoc. Heaven means just the skies itself. Now, this has to do with them putting people under a spell when they came here because, yes, Mother Hubbard was defeated, of course, because they're here. And how they defeated them was they used one being that was already here. And he used what was called a plutonium bomb and set it in a certain part of the earth and was going to blow it half, he says, well, look, why don't we take half, Mother Hubbard, and you take half? She was like, no, because all this is going to be ruled under freedom, justice, and equality. Well, he wound up blowing it off, and it blew a large part of the planet off, which became the moon. And I'm going to tell you where this section came off at. It was actually the section where you see the Grand Canyon at. This is where it comes from. This is where it tore off from. And it didn't tear off far enough to get its own axis or its own space, so it doesn't spin on its axis. That's why you always see one part of the moon. You understand? So now we have this right here. We have these beings who've come here and taken over. And see, they're the ones who put out the blue light. What you said, you saw blue light during the vision, right? Mm-hmm. See, blue is the color of deceit, and it's the lowest color on the spectrum. See, original disguise are black. If you look up right now and it's nighttime, you can see it's dark. Well, during the day, because the sunlight does that, it appears blue because it's the lowest color on the spectrum chart. That's why America has blue on their flag. They know it's the color of deceit. And also this blue, when at the proper color and tone, it can fool your mind. It can put you on what's called mind control. Mm-hmm. They know that. They know that. You look at a lot of the pills that you take that are blue. They mess with the psyche or the psychic of a person. You know, so we're actually going into the ancient times of what was happening with the planet. You know, a lot of his story will not tell you about this because that's exactly it, his story. They were not here who's telling the stories now to even know what was going on. See, they're written in the ancient texts that were placed under the sacred records that was under the Sphinx that they tried to break and get, the sacred records that are hidden in China. You have them in the Shiva, in the Bhagavad Gita. You know, they basically broke down the Bible so much that it's only remnants of what's going on. They took all of the archaic stories out of there, like the book of Adam, the book of Seth, the book of Enoch, you know, the book of Abraham. So all these had remnants of what was going on during these stories. We're here to bring this back up. And we got most of these during nursery rhymes. Like nursery rhymes. Think about Mother Hubbard, right? The nursery rhyme starts off and says, let me go to this bullshit. Old Mother Hubbard went to the cupboard to get the poor dog a bone. When she came there, the cupboard was bare, and so the poor dog had none. We're going to break this first thing down.
Right.
Old Mother Hubbard went to the cupboard to give a poor dog a bone. When she came there, the cupboard was bare, so the poor dog had none. Now, we got to understand this right here. First of all, you don't keep no bone in a cupboard, do you?
No, you keep books and things like that in the cupboard, which means that when she went to the cupboard to get the dog a bone, what she was going to the cupboard to get was knowledge. And It was worth about a bone to a dog because that's all a dog is worth getting is a bone.
Yeah.
You know, they even talk about that in the Bible, you know, where Jesus made, he made a reference to that woman and she asked him, what is it that, you know, they are supposed to get? And he basically referenced her to they get bones. So that's a knowledge.
It is not worthy of to feed the children's meat.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it says. And it is not.
Exactly. And the next part of it, she went to the baker's to buy him some bread, but when she came back, the dog was dead. He was faking death.
Yes. Yes.
To
he was faking
reborn.
Death.
Now, I don't know if y'all know anything about tarot cards, But with tarot cards, the death card, people are very scared of that death card. But what that death card means really is a rebirth.
Yes.
That means it's something new about to happen. It's an evolution. Right?
And that's what a bone is. A bone is also rebirth.
Mm-hmm. Rebirth. Now, the next part of the nursery rhyme is, she went to the undertaker's to buy him a coffin, but when she came back, the dog was laughing.
Uh-huh.
Playing a trick.
See? Playing tricks on her. Playing tricks. It's all about tricks. See, he was tricking to get her knowledge. At the same time, she always had to go and get something and leave the dog alone.
Yes. So every time she left and came back, the dog was going through a new evolution. He was evolving from a dog to something else.
Yes.
The next one is, she took a clean dish to get him some tripe, but when she came, he was smoking his pipe. Evolution.
Getting more and more human. Getting more and more human, ain't he? The beast getting more and more human, ain't he?
Yes. He was actually sitting down, portraying himself as a human and smoking a pipe.
Yes.
The next says, she went to the ale house to get him some beer, but when she came back, the dog sat in a chair.
See?
Evolving.
Getting more and more He's getting more and more civilized.
Mm-hmm.
He's getting civilized. See, she was the civilizer.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Now, Old Mother Hubbard, it started off with the dog being her pet.
Yes.
But now, every time she notices that when she leaves, when she comes back, he's evolving a little more than what she was when she first left him.
Yes.
The next part is, she went to the tavern for white wine and red, but when she came back, the dog stood on his head. Where is the head? The crown chakra.
Yes. And blood rushes to your head best when you stand on it. Everybody knows Eastern practices. Eastern practices will tell you this: if you want blood to rush to your head and you want to learn the most, that's the position they get in. Because the blood rushes to your head. Blood's supposed to rush to your brain. It opens up the portal. So he was open. He was getting more civilized and started getting to the higher evolution of things.
Yeah, he was opening up that crown chakra. He was opening himself up to more knowledge.
There you go. There you go.
The next one is, she went to the fruiters to buy him some fruit. Now, we all know dogs don't eat fruit.
No.
But she went to the fruiters to buy him some fruit. But when she came back, he was playing the flute.
He earned the arts. He learned the arts. The arts. That's what separates us from a lot of the beasts out here, are the arts. And arts is just not playing music. Arts is science, math, right? So he's getting more and more civilized each time.
Now, this is the one that tripped me out the most. She went to the tailor's to buy him a coat, but when she came back, he was riding a goat.
And there we go.
Break
Let's stop
down,
at
Mike.
this right here. This stop right there. Let's stop right there. This is going to break it down. When she went to the tailor's to buy him a coat, when she came back, he was riding a goat. Everyone who does a little bit of studies have heard of a person riding a goat. That is masonry. That means that he's come so civilized. This beast has become so civilized that he learned or earned the right to become in a Masonic order. That's where the square comes from. See, they put them on the square now. So they're saying, okay, stand upright. You're an upright standing person now. See, what they mean by upright is because if you look at the old photos of Homo erectus, when he bent over, he was bent over, right? That was the animalistic state. As soon as he became Homo sapien, he stood upright. He was called the upright man. Now, so now that you're an upright man, now I'm saying, okay, well, I can enter you into the sacred lodges. See, he done went there and stole the knowledge, because the Scottish and York rites got their rights from the ancient Egyptian orders. That's where they got it from. So now they're saying that this beast rode the goat, and when you get this knowledge, it's called riding the goat. Goat of Pan. You know what it is. They know what it is. Pan. You can Google it. Google it. Riding the goat. See what you get. See what you get. You know. Go ahead.
Yep. The next one says she went to the Hatters to buy him a hat. Now she's buying the dog a hat. She went to the Hatters to buy him a hat, but when she came back, he was feeding her cat. So now that he's no longer a pet, he has gotten another pet.
Yes.
Something under him. He has gotten to the point where he has evolved so much that now he can go out and put someone under him and be superior.
Yes.
Okay. She went to the barber's to buy him a wig, but when she came back, he was dancing a jig.
Now this has a lot of symbolism in it. She went to the barber's to buy him a wig. Barbers don't sell wigs.
Exactly.
Barbers don't sell. I am a barber. Barber don't sell wigs. You know? So it's this plain and simple right here. Y'all heard of the wig party. The wig party separate themselves and say, we're not going to be constricted to Masonic order, but we're going to get out there and we're going to implement our rule everywhere. We're going to let them think that we're Masonic, but we have a plan to take over.
Yep.
They have a plan to take over. And this wig party, man, I'm going to tell you, they are very, very devious, because they set up one thing. The first symbol for the wig party was an owl. Now you got the boulets. Right? You got the Bohemian Club. You got the Bohemian Club out there, right? Then they said, okay, let's not do this, because if they see an owl, they'll know it's us, that wise old owl. They said, let's make two figures that can conquer the world. One was by army that everybody studies their strategies by. Hannibal. Hannibal rode an elephant across the Alps and conquered. They said, we'll make one of them elephant. One of them, they said, peace upon all men. See, Jesus rode a jackass in the town, right? Right? A donkey. Let's get it. And let's get those two and make them seem like we separate enemies, but at the same time, these are two strategies through religion and war that we'll conquer everyone. See, that's what the Whig Party did. That's what the Whig Party did. And they're sitting up here saying, well, what you mean? I'm Democrat, I'm Republican. Everybody's Republican if you call yourself American and you vote. Because it says one nation under God, right? It says I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the what? Republic.
And to the Republic.
It don't say Democrat. It says and to the Republic. So everybody's Republican. And Republicans split into two parties. You got war and you got peace. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. That's what it is.
Just like what you always see Osiris with.
Yeah.
The war and peace symbol.
That's it. And that's what they got it. See, they are tricksters. Hello?
Yeah, you here?
Yeah, I'm here. They are tricksters. Yeah, they are tricksters. You know, and every time that they separate things, it is to divide and conquer. That's all it's for.
Now, y'all, it's the reason why we're breaking down this Old Mother Hubbard nursery rhyme, and we're going to get to that because it has a lot to do with my vision.
Yeah.
Now, we go to the next one. She went to the cobbler's to buy him some shoes. Now the dog has earned some shoes. But when she came back, he was...
Yeah.
But when she came back, he was reading the news. Now, why do people read the news? That's because they are making the news.
Yes.
All right? So now the dog is now involved in everyday affairs and commerce to the point where he is making the newspaper. So
yes.
he's reading about himself in the newspaper. Okay. The next one.
Yes.
She went to the seamstress to buy him some linen, but when she came back, the dog was spinning.
See, she putting some clothes on him, dressing them up.
Put some clothes on him. Mm-hmm.
Dressing them up.
And the dog was spinning. Spinning what? The wheel of,
The wheel of fortune. That's what it is.
The wheel of
That's
fortune.
what it is. That's what it is.
Yep. She went to the hoser's to buy him some hose, but when she came back, he was dressed in his clothes.
See, he was already dressed up, and the hose.
Now he's civilized. He's allowed to dress because he's evolved to that point.
Yes.
Where now he's realized that he was naked.
Yes.
So now
just like the story of Adam and Eve, right?
Yeah, exactly.
When you gain that knowledge of good and evil, you realize you was naked.
Exactly. Now, this is the part that was a trip because now she was a mother. She was the mother.
Yes.
But now she has been demoted. And this is why I say that. Because it says right now, the dame made a curtsy, the dog made a bow. The dame said, "Your servant." The dog said, "Bow wow." So now
she's
has
become
turned the
his
tide.
servant.
Yes. So now Mother Hubbard, is now his servant. But he has evolved to the point where now she is his servant. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah.
Now, the last part is, this wonderful dog was Dame Hubbard. He could read, he could dance, he could sing, he could write. She gave him rich dainties whenever he fed, and erected this monument when he was dead. So he could live forever.
He lived forever. He done took over.
Exactly.
She became a dame. She wasn't a mother anymore. She was a dame. And
yes.
that's not a good definition for a woman, a dame.
Yep.
To drop from mother. See, mother is medu netter. That's the mother nature of all things. That's the highest title you can get, because that's where everything comes from. She was demoted and became, she said, your servant, and curtsied first. You curtsy first, just like when a king or a judge or so, or queen comes in, you bow. She curtsied. Then he bowed back to acknowledge her, like, yeah, you know. And this is what we're going to get into now.
Exactly.
All this straight right here is bullshit. They give you these nursery rhymes. They give you these nursery rhymes because really, these are signs of the orders. What I mean by orders, I'm talking about the free and accepted orders. I'm talking about your masonry. I'm talking about your Elks. I'm talking about your ancient order of Melchizedek. I'm talking about your Eastern Stars. I'm talking about, whatever order that you know of. These are secrets to be held on to and to be told in a language so that the common person won't know. Just like the Bible, you can understand the Bible, but you can't overstand it because it's the Helio-Biblio. It was written by a Mason in masonry handwriting. It has the definitions. If you do not get into it, you cannot fully get it. I'm not saying you can't get the knowledge from it. I'm just saying you cannot understand what they was trying to say because they wrote it. It's encoded. It's in codes. And
really and truly, Helios Biblios mean the book of the sun.
Yes, that's all it means. And we have to realize this right here. All this is set up for someone else to conquer. See, we were the ancient races, and we're strong enough. In order for somebody weaker, they have to keep the strongest down. And it's our time to rule again. So guess what? We got an alien force out here who says, okay, we're going to take advantage of those who are in control, and we're going to manipulate them. And see, you got to understand why people are wearing these wigs and wearing all this. See, they're copying off the ancients. They're copying off these people, these beings who's come from other planets who are now hitting up our governments, hitting up our entertainment, hitting up our sports, and controlling us. They're ruling us through mind control.
Because as me and Mike was talking earlier, you see, everyone knows the 3 different sets of Moors. You got the Moors, the L's, the Bays, right? And what's the third set, Mike?
The Gustans.
Right. Okay, and you all know them in Moorish art. They usually wear a red fez, a blue fez, a black fez, or a white fez.
Yes.
You know, and we all know the blue and the black fez are basically the same thing. You know,
yes.
And then you got the red fezzes and the blue fezzes that were warring against each other, and that comes all the way down to the Bloods and the Crips to the day.
Yes, yes.
You know, so
it's always been a war between red and blue. It's a vicious cycle. If you think of anything in sports, well, from boxing to the Super Bowl, what's coming up, to the All-Star game, it's not just in America. It's everywhere. It's always a red corner and a blue corner. It was the red coats against the blue coats.
So you got the red fezzes and the white fezzes and the blue fezzes. What color is the flag? The American flag is red, white, and blue.
Yes. They forgot the black. They cut the black off.
Yes.
See, they've cut the black off because that was us. And how we got the red fezzes. Red fezzes is a story that they don't really want to get into. How we got the red fezzes was those white fezzes at first. See, it was only white, blue, and black at first. Then we had these people who were causing mischief among the righteous lands. So we marched them across the desert.
Moors.
And they called themselves Moors, and the general for them was called General Muk. And this is under the rule of Thutmose. Now, I'm going to start getting more direct because a lot of people want to do the research. So it was under Thutmose. Thutmose/Moses. Thutmose/Moses. Marched these people because they were causing unrighteousness in a righteous land. Marched them across the desert. If they had to run. Thutmose and his army and General Muk, they rode horses. And he said, if y'all stop, I'm going to kill you. So if they would stop, General Muk would cut their head off. Then they would dip the white fezzes into the blood, and they became red fezzes by the time that they had killed so many of them that had stopped. That's where the red fezzes come from. See, they were the protectors. They were the protectors of the orders. They were the protective of the freedom, justice, equality of the lands. Everything has been invaded and twisted on, and has been twisted. Everything. I had a brother earlier today. We was on Facebook, and we were talking about a subject, and he said, well, Google it. I said, word? Okay. I don't have to Google things. I look things up, and then I use common sense. I don't let Google be my last guide to say, okay, it's law because Google said it. It's law because I said it. Who in the fuck is Google? Right. Google, somebody had to program the Google answers, no matter where you get it from, Wikipedia, anything else. True, we have to get information from somewhere, but then use that information and use it with your inner information and formulate something. Don't just say, well, it's true because they said it. Well, who makes them right? Now, we can agree on something's right, but you're not going to be the final thing because I can read and write also. So then you got alien invaders here who are strictly trying to take over this planet, and that's what their job is. You can call them devils, you can call them gods, you can call them ancients, you can call them whatever you want to call them, but that's what they're here for. And just like the title says, Alien and the Wig Parties. Alien and the Wig Parties. I'm going to tell you what you do. Y'all want to see an alien? Y'all want to see a reptilian? You want to see something evil? I'm going to tell you what you do. Any given day you want to, turn on CNN or Fox News, sit there and watch the TV. Watch them change in front of your eyes. I don't want you to look at a YouTube video to find a shapeshifter. I want you to see it yourself. Turn on the TV on CNN and look at their eyes change. Look at their teeth metamorphosize in front of you. And you tell me they're not the ones that are sitting there changing the course of the present today. You wonder why George Washington and them wore wigs? Those were the beings they met from other planets, and they was trying to replicate them. Whether it be the Anunnaki, who were the Egyptians, whether they were the Ashtar command, whether they were the Pleiadians, whether they were the Zeta Reticulars, whether they were the Greys, whether they were the Teros, the Deros, whether they were the Fugarods. See all these beings right here are known. I can't make this up. You cannot make anything up that is not real. You don't have the mind to. There is nothing new under the sun. Nothing. So now we're given visions. The Sister Tina was taken by Mother Hubbard.
Right. Now, Mother Hubbard contacted me. You know, sometimes I keep forgetting how powerful I am, but if I sit up here and think of something or someone hard enough or a spirit, I have a tendency of conjuring them when I don't even know what I'm doing. So sometimes, you know, I have to be careful at that because I do it unconsciously at times. But we're going to start off with the first part of my vision. I was standing in front of a cathedral in another dimension that was painted in antique white. There were six 6x6 white blocks leading up to the front doors, and the blocks were surrounded by green turf-looking grass. What you got to say about that, Mike?
First of all, a cathedral and the 6 blocks. The 6 blocks stand for equality.
Mm-hmm.
So that was to balance out, and that can fit in anywhere you take it, any country, any planet, any universe, because it makes it instantly equal with what you are into. That cathedral right there, those cathedrals or slash castles are replicas of the home planet in which we come from, or they come from.
Yes, where they come from.
Yeah, and the green grass, that, of course, is fertility, or what is called health. So,
now, if you think about the 666, the 6x6 blocks is basically 360 degrees.
Yes. And the 6 dimensions. See, that's the number. That's the number of man. That's not the number of God. See, that's the number of what you would call the negative forces. You have 2 forces out here. You have a positive and a negative. The positive, being the strongest force, is 9 ether. The adverse of this is 6. It's conscious gases that make up of everything here. So when you say 6, I already know that that's negative.
Right. Exactly.
And that has a negative tone to it all the way around.
You're exactly right. Now we're going to get into the next part. Let's see. Walking in the cathedral were black males that were dressed as females wearing blonde wigs of every kind. Weren't we just talking about wigs?
Yes, that's it, and that's the whole thing of Eyes Wide Shut. If for anybody who saw the movie, see, they get there. A lot of the only the higher beings have souls. The lesser ones deal with lesser energies, which is in the Aramaic language or the Arabic language is called the jinn, or it's called nafs. N-A-F-S. And they usually get their energies from things like attention or the sexual energies. See, they deal on the lower energies. We deal on the higher energies. What feeds us is love. See, that's the highest energy that we can feed off of, that our souls eat. Because your souls can't eat sandwiches and bread; they have to eat the highest of the energies. Because love is not an emotion; it's an energy. They can feed off of emotions because being six. That's why I said equal to the created. We are creators. We are not created. Just like we are civilizers, we are not civilized. So when you get into those energies right there. And you're saying when you went in there, you saw them dressed up as women. They were feeding off that energy called porne. See, you got the 200 fallen angels. Each of them are in rulership of something. And I want y'all to do this. I want y'all to pull up the 200 fallen names of the angels, and you'll see that each of the negative things that are happening here is one of their names. One of them is called porne, P-O-R-N-A-Y, and you know what that controls. That's where they get porno from and all that. You know what it controls. Yeah. So that's a sexual demon, and they have to be fed, so they're ruling that way.
And then if you think about the color of the cathedral was an antique white, which stands for like a purity color.
Yeah.
So while they're walking into the cathedral, they're seeing purity. You know, this is right for them. This is purity for them.
Yeah.
All right? So you got all these black males, and they were dressed as first ladies. You know, the expensive skirt and blouses, just like a first lady, the expensive heels, the fake eyelashes, and the expensive jewelry. They were all wearing those. Yes, they were dressed. And they were all dressed their best. Yes. And the thing about it is that they passed right beside me. One of them, one of the black males even passed so close to me that he almost bumped me. But they still didn't see me. They were all under such a tight spell that they were all walking in, and they couldn't see anything but that front door.
When you're in a spell like that, when they have you under the spell, most of the time the only things you can see is what you want to see. So if I'm not included in your dream, I can be standing there right beside you, right in front of you, and you won't see me. Just like just like, for instance, when you daydream. You can daydream and not see anything in your room. You can have the TV on. You can have the refrigerator right there in the kitchen. You can be sitting down, but you are somewhere else completely because that's a daydream. You're actually traveling. So that's what I'm seeing, that the trance that they were in.
And see, and they were going in, and it was a pure thing to them. It was pure and it was clean. And that's why they were all happy and walking into this cathedral. Now, when I saw all those black men going in, black males, I was like, whoa, you know, what's going on in this cathedral? There's something going on in here, and I want to see what it is. But you see, the thing about it is that I knew that if I went in, I would never be able to come back out. But I just had to see what was drawing all of these black males in there. So as I walked up towards the door, my hips started hurting in the vision. And it got so bad that I backed up. And then it stopped hurting as much. So then I waited for a few minutes, and then I started walking back towards the door. This time I got a little bit closer, and I saw a symbol on the door. Because, the doors opened from the middle out, and there was 2 doors. And the symbol looked something like a violin, the round part of a violin. And it had symbolism inside of that round part. And it opened up in the middle. It split in the middle to allow them to go in. So at about the 3rd time I tried, I fought the pain. And whoever the guardian was dislocated my hip in the vision. But I walked through the pain through the doors anyway. Yes. Now, I want you to talk about, yes, that was the spell. Now, let's talk about Jacob's ladder.
Okay. First, when you saw them symbols on the door, that was the spell to keep it in or out. Everything is ruled by spells. Just like we said in an earlier Blog Talk radio show, I think the gatekeepers, we were talking about how they got this language and they make us do the alpha beta all the way from A to Z. And they, when you put these together, you spell a word. Well, that's still spelling. So that's why they sit there and they use the Latin, or they killed off the old dead languages so that we couldn't do that, but they could. See, they put Novo Ordo Seclorum on our dollar bill. I knew it killed this. They put that up there because that's a spell on the dollar. They do it on your medicinal things when you go get a prescription. They do it in the law books. They do it in the contracts. These are spells to hold those demons in. You said one thing we wanted to hit was what, sister, on that, as far as Jacob's ladder? Jacob's ladder is this right here. You have 12 parts to Jacob's ladder, you being the 13th, right? But there are 12 parts of it. This also makes up what's called the tree of life, the diagram of the tree of life. You have 12, the symbolism of the 12, which is the 12 tribes, the dozen, the baker's dozen is 13. That's where you get it from. You have the 12 zodiacal signs. This is all in perfect numerology. The 12 points of Jacob's ladder is this right here. It's 3 sets of 4. We got to know everything works in 3s, first of all. Person, place, or thing, solid, liquid, gas, me, myself, and I, right? Mother, son, child, sun, earth, moon, devil, God, you. So we ain't got to go into that, right? 1, 2, 3 ABCs. So when these are broken into the 4 corners, which is the north, south, east, and west, they have portals of energy. And through this, you can travel through anything. You can get through from the lowest to the highest of the 3 sets of 3, which is the 9. And I'm speaking like this so y'all can listen to it. You might not catch it right now, but you'll get it. Just listen. You have nodes on the back of your spine, which is called Jacob's ladder, actually. And you have a puberty, which is physical, and a puberty, which is spiritual, and a puberty, which is godly. When you become a certain age, you start getting hair certain places, your skin starts changing, you start getting rougher, you start growing breast, or you start having semen or eggs drop. This is your physical puberty. Well, you got a spiritual puberty also. So when you reach an age of enlightenment, the last age of enlightenment being 40 for that time, that these nodes in your spine will open up. See, they will release these energy cells which will enact or activate your RNA and DNA sequences, which will hit your pineal, and it'll open up portals of your brain. Right? This is spiritual practices. This is spiritual practices. You can actually feel them when they pop. This, in conjunction, works with what's called your barothary gland, your BARATHARY gland. And now it's reinserted in the bottom of your chin or right below your tongue. If you run along that and you feel a little node, you're all right. If you don't, you're in trouble. You better work on it. See, this at first was located on the base of our brain where your tonsils were located. But it was taken from us. It was taken from us through the Adamic fall of us disobeying things or getting at a height where someone wanted to control us, however way you want to say it. But they took it from us. And it was taken from us. We became what was called enocytes. We were forgetful beings. This was also, we had to be taken for us because everybody get time to rule. That's just fucking balance. It went from black to brown to red to yellow to white. We couldn't be at our height and they ruled because they weren't strong enough to do it. So we had to be maimed. We were maimed. So right now, if they tell you to take out your appendix, take out your tonsils, take out your thyroid, hell no. This is what activates your portals of your body, so you activate them nodes so you can get it. Ask the common person, well, what are my tonsils used for? They say nothing. You mean God will put something on me that has no use? You mean that the creator of all things, that my body has evoluted, even if I don't believe in a higher power, my body has evoluted to use this perfect thing that I'm going to just grow something that I don't need?
Yep.
So
everything has a purpose.
Your appendix, your barothry, all this filters what it needs to filter so that this can hit your pineal. Your pineal can hit that point and shine, and it will activate your chakras, and it will open up those 12 portals, what's called Jacob's ladder. Now Jacob or Yaqub saw this. He had activated this, and he was going to the next step. Well, the ancients know what you're going to do before you do it because, see, they can read minds. His was to become devious. He thought was a good thing. Well, what I'm going to do is I want to take evil out of person and make people perfect. Well, you can't do that because it's balance. It's supreme balancement. So in the story of the Heliobiblio, or the Bible says that this angel wrestled Jacob, right? And broke his hip. Same thing happened to you, Tina. When you ain't supposed to go somewhere, they got ways to stop you.
Yeah, I knew I wasn't supposed to be there. I knew that. That was all. That was the fun of it, you know.
Yeah.
But it's not that it was fun for me, you know. But it's not that it was fun. It's just that I care about my people and about my black men. I have sons and I have brothers. I had a father. And I wanted to know who was drawing them into this cathedral dressed this way. Which is the reason why.
The beings, they're the beings that are what you would call head of the Illuminati.
Exactly.
Now
let's get to this next part first before you start that.
Okay.
Okay? All right.
Okay, go ahead.
Now, I knew once I entered I may not be able to get back out. But I had to get in there and see what was happening. When I walked in, there were millions of black males inside, all dressed like females in a lounge-type setting. There was food, soft music playing like elevator music, and a blue hue in the room.
See, there go that blue again, huh?
Yes.
There go that blue again. See, blue is the color of deceit. Also, you got to understand this right here, that it's a mood-altering color. And what produces color is sound or vibration or vibratory rate. When you vibrate when you vibrate at a rate and you get so mad, they say, man, I was so mad I see red. Well, you were creating red. And I was shaking. You be shaking, right? You're creating red. You are creating red. You're creating red. So, but the masters, the ancients, have mastered that, so they know how to produce this from sound.
Yep.
And that's why I tell everybody, I tell everyone, if you hear this bullshit emergency broadcasting system with these colors up here, and they putting these strange sounds up here, they are reprogramming your mind. And for a weak-minded person, just like the guy said he went and shot 3 people in the mall because the TV told him to during the emergency broadcasting system, and everybody laughed at him like he's crazy. See, pull up a movie called Manchurian Candidate.
Yep.
We already have chips within us when you was born. Every last one of us that had shots. You got it. Most of us is on our left shoulder. Look at it. It's a big black spot that was left there. And this right here, because they said, well, they don't want us to be vegetarians because, see, it's got to run through your system of iron or metal. That's why you eat meat. The main thing is iron, right? And if you put water in there, we become good transponders. Excellent transponders. So what I wanted to say about this right here is that what I did forget about to say about Jacob's Ladder is that when you do master all the steps of Jacob's Ladder, you become what Enoch was. He said that he started to walk with God. And he was not, because he mastered this realm. He mastered every realm. He could go where he wanted to at any time he wanted to. Just like you would say the superheroes or the angelic beings or the devils, how they can just come back and forth. Now, there's a spell that is put on all of us right now. And it's working through sound. And who created this sound was a being called Pan. Pan. Back in the day, he was shown, he was cloven foot, a goat half. Look at that goat again. A goat half, and he was always holding a musical instrument like a flute or a satire, right? Which was some reeds, some reeds tied together. I believe it's
I think it was
S-A-T-Y-R.
I can't remember what it was. Hold on for a second.
Yeah,
I'm gonna find
it for me. We get it. But that's why he had an instrument, because he used that. He used that the same way in this joint where the Pied Piper led all the kids out of town playing a pipe. See, we know how music. They'll tell you through their fucking nursery rhymes. They'll tell you what's going on. They'll tell you. And we're going to go to this right here. This is how slick they are to find out if you awoke. Jack and Jill went up a hill to fetch a pail of water. Jack fell down, broke his crown. Jill came tumbling after. What's the first thing you notice wrong with that? Jack and Jill went up a hill to catch or to fetch a pail of water, right? Water don't run up fucking uphill. Fuck, I'm going to go uphill for? Why? And I broke my crown? That means I'm a king. Or the crown chakra.
Yep.
Wow, I done broke my crown chakra. Messing with him, that means that they done taken people down. How about the next one? Humpty Dumpty, sat on the wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king horses, all the king men couldn't put Humpty back together again. Those are two first nursery rhymes I learned, and it's 2 deaths already.
Yep.
And both of them talk about crowns.
Yep.
Talk about kings falling down. Why is this? What are they telling me? What are they putting in my subconscious? And who's doing it? Who are these foreign? When they're saying missing links, and they're saying, well, we don't know how we jumped in evolution. We just went from here to here without a missing link. That's the alien deception right there. You talking about you don't know how to build a pyramid? You don't know how this happened? You can't tell me the story of Atlantis? You can't tell me all this? Well, where did it come from? This is the alien deception. Well, why are you keeping it from us? Why does my phone go from 1G to 5G in a year? You didn't have that technology already? What?
Now, do you happen to know the science behind Jacob's hip being dislocated?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Oh, you're saying why it was dislocated?
Yeah, do you know the science behind why the hip was dislocated?
Yes, to stop him from the move. See, in masonry, bones, each bone has a symbolic meaning, right? The hip being very important have to do with your stances and walks. You know, some things I can say, some things I can't, because I don't want anybody repeating and getting in trouble. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
But there is, If you want to do studies, you do studies. You pull up masonry, symbolism of the bones, and it'll give you a breakdown of some of them. There is a stance for every degree. There's a walk that you have to do, and you also have to be what's called a whole person. You know, the breaking of the hip, and actually said he broke his hip and his leg, so that he could not stand upright again. That's what he was hoping, but he wound up doing it, healing himself and doing it. Some information is out there readily for us. Some information you got to be in certain orders. Certain information that people will go through, they just want to learn, just to learn. Everything we're trying to put out is to open up things and to get people to really see what's going on. It's not for debate. I mean, we can debate all day, but the thing about it is we have to do something about it. There's a reason why the aliens first took over music in what was called Hollywood. See, the Whig Party was overtaken by witches, and the first thing they had to do was take over the government and the media. What I mean by media, I mean radio, television, and the music. Besides music, the news. But and they had to create a place for it. They had to create a solemn place or their own castle, which is called Hollywood, and their castle was called Disneyland.
Right.
See, they had to create the images for us. They had to do a pictogram. They had to do this so that every time that we think of something, we had to refer to them. See, I do know this right here. The witches made their wands out of what was called the holly tree. It's called the holly tree. And that's why they call it Hollywood. The same way you got holly days and not holy days. See, we are run by witches, and these witches' job was to be in connection with the aliens. And I know a lot of people are going to say, man, they real off the wall and whatever else. All right. I want you to go and look at certain movies and pull it up, and you'll see the real thing. Battle of L.A. Battle of L.A. Pull it up on YouTube. They will show you the Army film of them actually shooting at aliens. Yes, they will. They turned into a movie later on. Look it up. Look up them falsifying their first trip to the moon.
Okay, it says here that musical instrument that you were talking about is the Syrinx. That's the musical instrument that Pan has. Okay.
Yes.
That's the Syrinx, and that's what the musical type, the hypnotic music was all about. Okay.
Exactly. You know, we overstand.
That's exactly what it was. It was about a spell. Now, if you go into the next part of the vision, it says, when I turned around to leave, I knew that I could only be in there for a certain amount of time. So I was in there for about 10 seconds. I turned right around, tried to get out. And the door was probably about 10 to 11 feet away from me. And as soon as I went about 10 to 11 feet away from the door, I hit this red force field. And when I hit this red force field, it was like the light splashed around me, and I couldn't break through. So I summoned all my strength and forced my way through it. But while I was in that force field forcing my way through, it was like time had almost stopped or slowed down. So when I got to the door and turned the doorknob, I woke up. But it felt like, in my real life, my hip was damn near dislocated. I couldn't walk for hours this morning when I woke up. But it tripped me out because around what that told me was that around the perimeter of the cathedral was really red.
Yeah.
It was really emitting a red light. So what do you know about red lights?
Red light is the soma, or the earthly. That's the root chakra. Red is, it keeps you grounded. It keeps you from going into the higher energies or being the higher being that you are. We have to understand this right here, is that you are a 9-part being broken into 3s. What I mean by that is this right here. You have the me, you have the myself, and the I. You have the me, which is the soma, the earthly body. You have the myself, which is the angelic being, and then you have the I, which is the God you. When in the story of the Bible, Moses says, "Well, who do I say sent me?" He says, "I am sent." Say, "I am." The same way that when the Christ, when the stories of the Christ, when they says, "I and the Father are one," because when I negate myself and reach my highest height, I and the Father are one. The myself is the angelic being you, because the I don't drop down to the me. But the myself can go in between. That's the angelic being you. That's the angelic being you that can be driving and drop your cell phone, and then you pick your cell phone and go, "Oh, shit," but you're still driving right along the road. That's called your guardian angel. Who's going to guard you more than your own self? That's the angelic being you. But see, the whole time, the me is the earthly you. That's the red color, and it wants to stay here, so it'll fight. But there were some clues that are left in these ancient books or the writings from the Christ. He says, you can't make it unless you be born again. You're born again spiritually, not physical. So the me has to die in order for the myself to rule. Then the myself has to die for the I to rule. You understand? That's why the Rastafarian says, "I and I, Jah Rastafari I," because they know that that's that higher self. That is that highest of the heights. That red does not let you get there. It does not let you get there because you can't be earthly and make it into a heavenly body. The earth has to be wrapped up in a suit, then it has to be wrapped up in a ship, then it has to be wrapped up in something else just for you to escape this planetary body, right? Called Earth. So how are you going to go into a higher realm carrying this body? See, the myself, the I is so powerful that you can pass, come back, and reincarnate yourself and remember what you was in last time and say, "Damn, this is deja vu. I remember doing this before," right? That's how powerful the I is. The me can't do that. The me has no memory. After, you know what happens to the me? The me becomes dirt, and you can plant some corn or some weed on it. That's what happens to the me.
Yep, exactly. Now, as far as this thing, of course we know that these males in wigs, blonde wigs, were secured. They were rooted in their chakras, in their lower chakras.
Yes.
All right.
And they were made other than themselves.
Right.
They were totally turned out, other than themselves.
Exactly. But you see, the thing about it is that when I noticed that when they were in there, and they were mingling and stuff like that, they weren't human. Now, they may have looked human, all right, and they may have been acting human, but you see, I know that a lot of black males are not going to, black men especially, are not going to get together dressed all in blonde wigs. I mean, they had all kinds of wigs. They had the Holly Berry style. Some had long weaves. All of these
You wanted some
wigs.
of the weaves, huh?
Yeah. They were all blonde wigs, different types. And it's not a coincidence that I saw this vision, and now all of a sudden blonde wigs and weave is in style.
Well, you got to understand this right here. See, we always want to be. We have been subconsciously made to accept that which is other than ourselves. Do you know that blonde is the last spectrum of color? That means it's the weakest.
Yes.
Your hair is so strong that you can perm it and color it, and it'll come back to its original state. Me as a hairstylist, when you blonde the hair, it puts a lot of stress on hair too. If you do it too much, it'll break off. Leviticus, the book of Leviticus, is all about cleaning up people that had blonde hair, or silver blonde hair, or gold blonde hair. See, I know that in Mendel's law of genetics, that is the weakest gene of man and mankind. It's the weakest. It's the weakest. I mean, it's the weakest. It's known. But so for them to be dressed as a woman and with blonde hair, that made them totally opposite of themselves. So they're on the whole opposite spectrum. So you have beings here that are under mind control the same way, and we call that the MK Ultra. Everybody look up that right there, MK Ultra. Type it in your Google, and you'll see that that's an extensive program by the CIA that's being done. It's recorded. It's known. I mean, everything we're talking about, it sounds off the wall, but you can look it up, and you'll be amazed of what you will see.
And I invite everyone to look up the Tavistock Institute. That's TAVISTOCK Institute. All right, and it's an institute, and this isn't the first time I've mentioned this Tavistock Institute. It's an institute that was started by Sigmund Freud's nephew in the 1920s, and it was basically a think tank full of psychologists and sociologists for them to get together and make war propaganda.
Yeah.
All right, but you see, what happened was, after the war was over, they didn't have a job. So what they decided to do was they decided to see if they could manipulate the populace by propaganda. Yeah. So this is why they started putting on these commercials. They started putting out little posters. You'll see posters. They were putting out little pamphlets like the Manifest Destiny. That's a real publication. You know, and all of these little publications to sway the people a certain way. And you see, the Tavistock Institute is still in effect today. As a matter of fact, it's a lot of universities. They use the library system from the Tavistock Institute, and you usually know those because those have a unicorn on it. Whenever you see a unicorn, that usually denotes Tavistock. So Tavistock's library has a library at places like MIT, Stanford University, Penn State, you know, a whole bunch of these major universities. And if you know anything about the universities are who sets the standards for everything that everyone does. Universities is who sets standards.
Yes.
You know, and a lot of people think that a university is just there for an institution of learning, but they're not. They're there to set standards.
Well, they are there to master their plan of mind control. We are so far on the list right now is that we are just commodities to them. You know, Eisenhower sold us out to the Greys a long time ago for technology. Roosevelt sold us to the elitists for money. So we've been sold out so many times. Look at the New Deal. Look it up and see what we were sold for. Look at Eisenhower when they came to the White House. Look up what's called Val Thor, VALTHOR, and see how these beings came down and how they sold us out for technology. Look at the Roswell crash. Half the Roswell crash is being held right here in the United States in Newport News, Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fact. It is what it is, you know, and it's the technologies that we have now that comes from them. Now, I'm gonna tell you something. If we're still breaking down what they were doing in 1947, haven't got all of it, imagine the technologies that they have compared to us. Ronald Reagan made a statement. Ronald Reagan made a statement long time ago about what will happen when we are attacked by aliens. I will tell you this. When he got shot and came back, the first thing he set up was a Star Wars program.
Mm-hmm.
That was to shoot things from the sky. And that's
yes.
what we're using right now. It's sort of like what in the thing we call Skynet. It is what it is. Look it up.
Mm-hmm.
Do not just take what we're saying. Look it up.
Mm-hmm.
I know we're talking about a lot of subjects right now, but we have to get it out there because we got eyes and ears on us. We don't know how much is going to be let out. Now, when they're going to take us off or when they're going to try to stop us. But we have to uncover all this.
Now, before we leave tonight, which we're going to be leaving, we're going to be signing off really soon. So if you want to call in and ask a question, now's the time. Before we get out of here tonight, I want to go over the Moorish thing again. All right? Now, a lot of people feel like the Moors are responsible for selling out the black race, but what you got to understand is that there is another being. There are other beings on this planet along with us, and it's evident and proof that there are other beings on the planet because they're besides us. Is because you can look at everything down to the insect and see that we are all different. We're all animals. We all breathe the same air. We all got to eat. We all got to take a shit. We all got to fart. We all got to do all of that stuff that all animals on this planet do. But we all look different. Yeah, funny. But we all look different, which shows that this is basically, I like to call it a petri dish full of different beings under one petri dish. All right? Yes. So since we know that we have all these different beings under one petri dish, there is a set of beings that walk around and cause trouble. And what they do is they take the ones that are in power at that time and act like and emulate that one that's in power to produce an evolution. Now, back during those times, those ancient times, it was the Moors that were in power. They were the ones that held the gold. They held all the land. They held everything, all of that stuff, all right? So they went around, and they dressed as Moors and looked like Moors. Even had sex with the cave women, all right, with the women that lived under the earth. But they were not Moors. They were a different being. They were different
reptilians in skin suits.
What I used to call beings in skin suits.
Yeah.
All right? And you see, and we're seeing the same exact thing now. But what we're seeing now is those same beings in white skin suits. And the reason why they are in white skin suits is because these white folks are the ones that was holding the power at this time.
Yes.
Now that the power is about to shift again, they are in the suits of black males and black females because the power is about to shift again. So that's
why they get everybody to sell their soul.
That's why they're getting everyone. The undercover gay male and the bottom bitch that I talk about all the time. All right, these are the ones. They are the ones in control. They're the ones that's steaming ahead this homosexual agenda, because this is the new thing now. This is the new prosperity.
Yes.
That's why all of them was in that cathedral. They were all having a meeting because this is the new prosperity. And just like way back before the Moors, it was matriarch. All right? They had on women skin suits back then too, to evolve, to help evolve to their agenda. So since, and this is the reason why all these white folks are fighting the way they're fighting, because they enjoyed the privilege that these beings in these white skin suits had given them. And so now they are fighting these beings in these white skin suits to come back. They're fighting for that privilege, which is the reason why all of these forest fires, all these fires in all these places, there's a war. It's a war going on. You know, what else are we talking about? The deer crossing signs. What else are we talking about?
Yeah. Well. First, they want to know the real reason of why we had the oil spill off Florida. Now,
yes.
It's plain and simple. We have a group right now who are the aggressive aliens trying to take over, are the reptilians. One of they're cold-blooded. You know they're cold-blooded. These are ancient stories of the vampires also. You know they suck blood, they got sharp teeth, and they don't like the sun too much. They can get a little sun, but not too much because they got to regulate themselves. So anyway, you know, one of the fastest populace of reptilians is in the Gulf of Mexico, Florida, around there. Well, they were populating so fast in the waters that they were going back on their treaties with the elitists. And they weren't letting them in the underground bases. They weren't letting all the technologies go. And they were getting quite selfish because they would started bogarting things. So the elitists said, we're going to get together and try to kill some of these because they are spreading, reproducing too fast. So they hit that. And they made that water non-productive to the reptilians because, see, they were producing so fast.
Fukushima. Explains the Fukushima, the BP oil spill, the Gulf oil spill, all these things.
Look, let me tell you something. They're trying to suffocate them. They're trying to suffocate them. We are at war right now. We're not only at war with ourselves, but you know, just like the scripture says, you don't fight against Satan himself, but against principalities in high places. This is real. This ain't no mythology. This is no mythology. We trying to give it to you raw, and I'm giving it to you so raw and so fast that I cannot sit here and explain everything to you. I'm giving you things that you can look up and look into. That's why I'm giving you things to look into so that you can let me help you to help yourself. Don't just listen to someone and say, oh, I don't believe it, or someone I do. I don't have belief. I either know or don't know. If I do not know, my job is to learn. We have so much out here to give in so little time. The main thing we have to do is to come together. I made a statement earlier on my Facebook page. I said we shall conquer, not through war, but peace amongst ourselves. All we have to do is come together, form a nation like it's supposed to be, regardless of gender, color, creed, sexual preference. We're out here fussing about people loving of the same race at the same time. They are in our communities destroying us through food, through chemtrails, through inoculations, through
what they're
mind
trying to
control.
do is break us down. And we always talk about the chakras, the red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. And y'all have heard me say that the chakras line up with the musical notes, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. But you see, the thing about it is that there are not 7 chakras and 7 musical tones. There's actually 144,000 tones.
Yes.
So what they have managed to do, so what they have managed to do was to break that 144,000 tones down to 7.
Yeah.
All right, and that's what they have managed to do. They don't want us to see more than 7. They don't want us to see more than 7 chakras. Because your black chakras is underneath the sole of your feet. They don't want us to hear more than these 144,000 tones. They don't want us to see these things, But you see, what they do is they tell you it's only 7 colors in the rainbow. They tell you that there's only 7 chakras that match up with these colors on the rainbow, and then they tell you that there are 7 musical notes, musical tones to go with these 7 chakras, but yet they sell a box of 144 crayons in the store. So they're telling you that there are more than 7.
Yes. The only reason we use 7 now is because the original devils who came here was limited to 7. That was the Hindu demons. The Hindu demons, because their penal was taken from them, could not even see the higher 2 to reach to the 9 to open up to the other 144,000 colors. So now we go to the practice of the chakras, which was the symbol of a swastika, which Hitler went and stole from them and said that, okay, if this spinning wheel controls the energies of the body and the energy of the things here, we're going to control them through mind control, through sound control, through aroma control. So now we have it that we're basing ours off of demons, demonology. That's why I tell everybody right now, what's the smallest amount of time? You have the hour, you have the minute, and you have the second. Where's the first? I don't run a race to come in second. I run a race to come in first. So when you do that, you're saying that you've taken out a whole bunch of information from me, and all you can come is with secondary information. Your smallest amount of time isn't even correct. So how can anything you teach be correct? You can't teach me shit. Somebody going to tell me, well, I learned this from Google. Man, fuck Google. I got common sense. Do you run a race to come in second? Do you run a race to come in second? And you mean to tell me that's the smallest amount of time? You mean to tell me that 1 + 1 = 2, but then when I see a man and woman have sex, they have a baby, and that's 3 people? What? Something ain't adding up right. Are you fucking kidding me? I'm just real with you. I'm real with you. And y'all can sit here and say these itchy scratch experts if y'all want to. Y'all keep on listening to them and keep on doubting us and saying they just talking shit and they ain't got no back end. Look it up. Nothing I say agree with. Look it up.
And more importantly, you listen to these itchy grass experts, but you fail to listen to yourself.
You can't listen.
All answers are already in our DNA.
You'll say, man, I would do this.
Read all of these books, yes.
I would do this, but CNN told me I would. Look, I ain't got to carry no umbrella, but CNN told me it was going to rain, so I'm gonna carry one just to make sure. Word.
Or you ignore your ancestors, and you say
Word.
things like, something told me
Don't
to make a
do
left
this.
over here. Something told me not to do that. You see, what you're doing is you're not acknowledging your ancestors. It's your ancestors talking to you.
Yep.
And we have to learn how to come back to our ancestors and have that faith in our ancestors. Now, these itchy grass experts, these males that were in this cathedral, what's going to happen when it lets out? You see,
all hell breaks out.
You see, it was millions of black males in that cathedral. What happens when the meeting is over and they are let out?
Those are our replacements.
Yeah, they're coming out here.
I'm putting up a fight.
They're coming out here.
Y'all. I'm putting up a fight. I don't know about y'all.
And we got to learn to recognize them. Now we got 5 minutes left. If anyone wants to call in with questions or comments, or we got one person that's calling in right now. I'm going to take this call. Area code 727, last 47571. Hello, caller?
Yes. Hello, how are you?
I'm fine. How you doing?
Bless, bro.
Great.
Hello?
Yes, caller.
Yes, hello.
Yes, what anything you'd like to say or questions or comment?
Hello?
Guess not. He dropped his call. I guess he was in a bad zone. So we have about 4 minutes left. So if anyone wants to call in, and the reason why I'm giving about 4 minutes is because I'm trying to get some callers in at last minute. But what you got to say, Mike?
One of the things that we got to say right now is that we are under Mayday right now. We're under Mayday. Mm-hmm. It is not what you know; it's what you do with it. Mm-hmm. One thing that we have to do is we have to get together and organize a system for ourselves. Now, in your neighborhoods, I want you to do this. In your neighborhoods, I want you to learn all your neighbors. I want you to get a safe house. At that safe house, I want you to get some food and water and supplies that will last at least for 2 weeks. Y'all can do that as a community. I want y'all to have a signal, somehow a signal that you can make a phone call or say code red while each of the males, able males, will stand guard at certain places. The females and the children run to the safe house, right? Some males guard there, and then that will be your setup right there. That can happen in each neighborhood, and maybe this neighborhood can meet with that neighborhood and get bigger, and grow. We have to have a safety system for us because there are things out here now that are about to happen, and it's scary. We don't want to be unprepared. The next thing to do is to gain as much information as you can on becoming self-sufficient. I'm talking about you learning how to dig a well. I'm talking about you learning how to grow your own food. I'm talking about you recognize what is edible and not edible. I'm talking about you learning how to hunt with maybe a bow and arrow or a knife, or maybe fishing with just a hook and some bread or a line. You know, we got to go back into those natural, simple things without depending on them. We got to know how to cleanse water, you know, by setting it in the sun, or running it over rocks, or maybe collecting water in the morning when there is no water, you know, with some plastic. We got to learn these certain things. So I want everybody to get a survival kit, first aid kit. Learn first aid.
Income tax return time.
So you can do that.
Survival first aid kit. Survival kit. Fire.
Yes.
Get some wet fire. Matches and all of this good stuff. You know, I hate talking to people about, you know, and trying to determine what they do with their income tax return, but time is running out. Yes. Time is getting short. You know, so we need to start thinking that way, you know, for the future. Yes. You know, I even put up a post about that earlier tonight about the 3 generations.
Yes.
Yeah. You know, and about 3 generations, huh?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
And start catching us on these radio shows. That's what you need to do.
Yes. All right. That's about it for us tonight. Good night, everybody. Peace and thank you. Oh, we got one more caller. You want to take this before we go?
Yeah.
All right. I'll take him. All right. Area code 727, last 49799.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. How you doing?
Good. I wasn't able to listen to the entire show, so I really didn't. You know, I called in to somewhat listen to it, but if I could ask a question. What the topic were you talking on?
We were talking about I'm an oracle, and I had a vision that had a lot to do with the alien deception and the Wigger Party.
What's the Wigger Party is what?
Is the British Party.
It's the
Go ahead, Mike.
It's the Whig Party is the party that separate. Well, it was the party that originated in England.
Oh, the original Republic, the early Republican Party. Exactly.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that's what it is. Exactly. And that's what it is. 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 And that's what it is Okay?
Weren't they the better Republicans?
Were they better?
Mhm.
It depends on your definition of better. I mean,
weren't they anti-slavery at the time?
At the time, it depends on which side you were on. Just like anything else, you have positives and negatives depending on whom you are. What we were saying was how they split and became the Democrats and Republic on this side. Now, when you say better or not, that's judgmental. That's self-recognition. I'm not qualified for you to say it is for you or for me.
Okay.
But we're saying what's better all for the all is a free-thinking people with the government working for the people, by the people, not a government that says individual entity, because there is no such thing as government. It's people.
The government is the people.
Exactly.
Yes.
So when you say, is it a better republic, I don't know. The best republic I know is the people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, you got one more question, caller?
That's
or are you satisfied?
I'm satisfied.
All right. You have a good night.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Bye-bye. Okay. We're going to end the show tonight. Thank y'all for listening. Peace. Mike?
Peace and blessings. I would say all praise is due to the all. With the all, I am everything. Without the all, I am nothing. I can do all things in the all, and I can do nothing on my own. I love everyone who's listening and should be listening and can be listening. Peace.
Cool. Peace.